Hi, it's Kyle from Bitewing Games, and today we're taking a look at Abstract Academy. Abstract Academy is a game for 2 or 4 players published by Crafty Games. In Abstract Academy, you are creating a canvas with your opponent or opponents. You will have a set of cards in your hand, each showing 4 quadrants with some combination of 3 colors. Together you are creating a 4x4 grid of cards. After all 16 cards have been played, you will compare your half of the canvas with your opponent's half. You are each competing to complete certain objectives. Objectives can be things like largest red area, fewest blue areas, most yellow areas with at least 4 quadrants. The game is played over 3 rounds, each round with a set of objectives. Every player is also given a unique personal objective each round. On your turn, you will simply lay a card and draw a card until all 16 cards are laid in this 4x4 grid. See who has earned each of the objectives, award those to the player, clear the board, deal a new set of cards, and you're ready for the second round. At the end of 3 rounds, see who has the most points. So, is Abstract Academy fun? I love the very first few turns in this game. There's no set boundaries of where this 4x4 grid is. So I could play a card here and have it end up on my half of the board, or it could end up on my opponent's half. If I place a bad card, it could end up on my side or yours. And I really like that it's a shared board so that it's heavy on player interaction. There's no I do my best and you do your best. You're really interacting. But there are a few limitations. Once we've set out the 4x4 grid, the row closest to me is my home row, and you are not allowed to lay there. And same goes for your row closest to you, I can't lay there. So you can be mean, but not too mean. It's especially intriguing in a 4-player game where each player has their own home row. You're kind of helping each other out in some ways where my bottom 2 rows that I will score for have some overlap with the player to my right and the player to my left. So in some ways we're working together, but we're still really competing. So it's a really fun and interesting dynamic. I like how the game is both simple and complex. The cards are simply yellow, red, and blue, but with those colors and their orientation, you have to somehow complete these objectives better than your opponent did. But if you see your opponent has already kind of guaranteed a win on one of them, you can just forget about it and move on to something else. And I did think that the objectives were varied enough to make the game dynamic where it didn't feel like each round was the exact same, because the objectives really did change a lot of how and where you placed your cards. The one thing I'm not sure about in the game is the teacher's pet card. So there's a certain card that's a tiebreaker, essentially, this teacher's pet card. What it does is determine who wins a certain objective if there's a tie in a 2-player game. So if you and I both tie for this objective, and I have the teacher's pet card, I would actually win the points for that, and then you earn the teacher's pet card. So it kind of acts like a security blanket so that you know, hey, if we tie, I'll still get the points. My real iffy part about that is in a 4-player game. If 2 players tie that do not have the teacher's pet card, neither of them score points for it. So having that teacher's pet card is a really nice security blanket that in a 4-player game I just didn't feel worked that well because it was a little too powerful for that one player. I don't really have anything negative to say about the game. The only thing that I didn't love was actually just something that I misunderstood in the game. For the personal objectives, you have to create these specific shapes. So with this objective, I thought, I just have to create this shape. That's super easy. I accidentally get it a lot of the time. But as it turns out, it was just a misunderstanding I had from the reading of the rules. In order to get this objective, I actually have to get the shape with no adjacent spaces matching that color. That's suddenly a lot more difficult and makes the game a lot more fun. And so aside from that little misunderstanding, no real complaints about the game. Overall, I've had a lot of fun playing Abstract Academy. It's a very family-friendly, light type game. It plays really quickly, and it gives me enough to think about, but I'm not really straining my brain too much because I'm drawing a card and laying a card that has a few different colors on it. But you are having to think about the objectives and how to best complete those. If this game sounds at all interesting to you, I'd go ahead and check it out. I do think it's nice because it plays well at 2, and it also plays with 4 players really well. I had a good time with both player counts. I would love to know what your favorite game is that plays well at 2, but can also play more. Go ahead and let me know in the comments below. Until next time.